What's up, everybody? Welcome to the newest, most exciting episode of TNR Sports. This episode, we're going to bring you a ton of new stuff. My name's Trennon. That's Ryan. Tell them what's up, Ryan.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Look, we're coming at you today with a brand new episode. I'm pretty excited about it. We're going to have a bunch of spring game talk. We're going to break down a lot of stuff. We're going to be breaking down what's going to happen in the future. There hasn't been a lot of spring games so far, so we're going to detail them all real fast. And then next week, when they all happen, we're going to talk about several episodes on it. We'll be coming out with tons of content related to the spring games. I might make a video on Arkansas. We might do a couple. We'll have several podcasts just talking about whatever spring game we want to talk about. Let us know what you want to. If we were going to read off a list, if your team isn't on that list, let us know. We have pretty much everybody important, but if your team isn't on that list, let us know, um, and we'll talk about them. If they have a spring game. So I want to tell everybody to like, subscribe, um, follow on Instagram and Twitter. If you're listening to this somewhere way out that's not South Carolina and you're listening to this, contact me or Ryan and Instagram or Twitter. We put all our bios and all our stuffs in there. If you're listening to this podcast, like in Ohio, New Jersey, Texas, you listen to this podcast in those states, let me know. I want to know what you're about. I want to know who you are. We're building a brand here. This is so small. I don't see why we can't have people like communicate with us. I'm not no celebrity or anything like that. I want to hear from the fans. I want to hear from the people out there. If you actually like this show and will listen to it, I really do appreciate that. We're trying to grow something, build it. You contact me. You let me know. Got my email, my Twitter, my Instagram's all in the bio. Every Spotify, of every podcast, YouTube video we post. Let me know. Contact me. Slide in my DMs. Be like, hey, Trenton, I'm from yada yada yada. If you're someone that I don't know, especially, I'd be really interested to hear what brought you on and brought you on our little pirate ship. I like to it's not
Oh,
a
shit.
at all, but a little boat that we're on right here. So I just wanted to say thanks if you're listening. Keep liking, comment, subscribing, that whole deal. So Ryan, we got some spring games coming up.
We do have some spring games coming up. The the water's going to be breaking loose this upcoming Saturday, April 17th, is when the majority of the spring games will start beginning. We've had a few here and there. We've already had Clemson's. We had our last video is about Clemson's spring game. I think a couple of other like Oklahoma State, smaller schools have had their own, spring game, but the bulk majority are coming up in on the April 17th and the 24th, so the next 2 weeks. For April 17th, I know Trennon's very excited for this one, the Arkansas spring game. So I'm sure you're going to be super pumped for that one. We also got Alabama's spring game on the 17th, LSU's, Georgia, Ohio State, the USC Trojans. All those games will be on April 17th, this upcoming Saturday. And then the 24th, next Saturday, we got Oklahoma, which I'm very excited about. I'm very interested to see what Oklahoma has in store for their spring game. The University of South Carolina's spring game will be happening on the 24th. It'll be interesting to see how new head coach Shane Beamer does in his first outing. It's a glorified practice, but it'll still be interesting to see what they
Maybe there'll
do.
be more fans. Maybe there'll be more pressure. I don't know.
Yeah, do you know how many fans are South Carolina's letting in, or if
I guess about 50%, if not higher.
50%, really?
I mean,
Wow.
first of all, it's a spring game. I don't know. Clemson had a pretty packed stadium. They let up what, like 25, 35%. I think people are just craving it. If they let the people come, I bet they would come. But my guess would be about 50 to 35, 45, somewhere in that range.
Okay. But yeah, South Carolina playing their spring game on the 24th. North Carolina will be as well, along with Texas. And then weirdly, Oregon's spring game is May 1st. So just throwing that out there. Anyone who likes Oregon, they're playing their spring game a little late. It's probably spring. I don't know if you call it spring anymore. May 1st. Trenton, what games are you looking forward to out of this bunch? Obviously Arkansas, but Any others?
When I look at it, I'm looking forward to. I'm definitely looking forward. I'm interested in seeing South Carolina's. I'm
Mhm.
interested in seeing South Carolina. I'm interested in seeing North Carolina, mainly because I think they could be a big threat to Clemson. Not a big threat, but definitely something that could annoy Clemson, maybe come down the line.
They'll probably be the ACC championship game.
Yeah, either them or Miami, but Miami's so like, ooh, who knows?
Yeah,
Um, I'm interested in Georgia. I think Georgia will be an interesting to look for
yeah,
because I'm interested in seeing what's that guy? JT Daniels, is it right?
yeah. He's
I'm
a
interested to
monster.
see now that he's gonna have like a full healthy spring that maybe we'll see what he does. Texas, I'm excited. I'm not, I wouldn't say excited, I guess. I'm anticipating what Texas is going to do because Arkansas does play Texas, as we'll talk about in a minute or two.
Yeah,
So I'm excited to see what Steve Sarkisian will do. And the Trojans one does interest me because I always had this kind of like weird love for USC. I think they're a pretty decent little football team, but I don't know. That's just kind of a weird thing. I've always kind of looked on them pretty with I don't know, with an open mindset, but I always
yeah.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
probably watch. I'll probably watch all. Obviously, we'll have to watch all of these, but I'm looking forward to those specifically.
I'm definitely. I mean, I kind of agree with you on the USC. I mean, last year I kind of were back. I mean, they were winning games, but they weren't winning convincingly like they used to. I mean, I kind of agree with you there with USC. I mean, they're a blue blood, and when we were younger, they were at the top of their game, and so it was more fun to watch them than it is now. But um, I'm really curious, as you kind of said, with Texas. Honestly, I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do. They got a bit of a quarterback duel going on right now, and then they got Bijan Robinson, who's supposed to be a Heisman candidate, running back for them. But I'm curious to see what Texas does. Georgia expected to be a title contender. It really kind of, I guess, depends what happens in their first game against Clemson, but it'll be interesting to see what they can put forth. I think the outside of the Oklahoma game, obviously, I think the biggest game that I'm curious to see is the LSU. Um,
I am interested in seeing the quarterback battle that happens there.
yeah, they got a quarterback battle, and there's actually a little bit of hope coming out of LSU. They're kind of bad last year. I mean, they beat Florida. That was a high point. Whatever. Um, but I mean, I'm kind of curious to see if this positivity in LSU's camp is real or if it's maybe not so much. But
Right.
I'm curious to see what's going on with LSU.
I think that's a good point. I think LSU, just I don't know. I feel like they had really had some good things going when they had that one team that was so fully stacked. And yeah, I don't know. I've been an Arkansas fan. I've been watching LSU close for these like years now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
they always do. They have the one season every single time. They have the one season where they're a title contender, and then they go back to good until they get to their one season again.
Right. They had the same thing happen in like 2011 when they played
Yep.
Alabama,
Yep.
and then it took them all the way to 2019, right?
Yeah.
2019 they played the championship in 2020, but in 2019 they had their season.
Yeah.
It was so good. I forgot one more that I would have what I'm definitely interested in. Old Miss. I would like to mention Old Miss April 24th. They have their spring game at 4 p.m.
Interesting.
So
I also want to
I
throw
think Old
one
Miss
more game
probably
because I
go,
know we have a Husker fan who watches. Nebraska's spring game is May 1st, so it's bunched in there with Oregon, May 1st.
Nebraska.
Yeah, we got a Nebraska fan who watches.
Let me tell you something. They stink. Nebraska sucks.
We all know. We all
I
know.
mean,
Hey, they could be on the up and up. Who knows?
no, I don't think so. I think anything for good for Nebraska, just go back to like the 1980s and put in the old VHS and rewatch the old tapes. Y'all winning championships back in the 80s and the 70s.
The
That's my thoughts on
90s,
Nebraska.
yeah.
I'm a big Nebraska guy. A lot of
I,
old ties back then, though.
I
About
would say it'd be really cool to see Nebraska winning again in the Big Ten, and just kind of like all the blue bloods, like Ohio State, Michigan,
oh,
Nebraska. It'd be
blue
so. It'd
bloods.
be cool.
Nebraska is a Big 12 Southern team. Ain't
They
no
are in the
blue blood, whatever. Boo,
blue blood always.
boo. Not a Nebraska guy here. Not a big Scott Frost. What a scumbag. I'm just kidding. I like Scott Frost. I think he's did pretty good at USC. I mean UCF. There's a
Yeah.
hot take coming from me. My opinions of
What has Nebraska done to you, Trennon?
exist. I just feel like they're one of those teams, kind of like Miami, Notre Dame. Like everybody hypes them up. Oh yeah, we're gonna be
Well, they're
so
definitely not
good.
getting hyped up anymore, that's for sure.
We're gonna be so good this year, and then they always suck. I don't know. It just bothers me a little bit.
They haven't been
Teams that I
good
like
since
like Penn State. Penn State's
2001.
another one of those. Miami, Penn State, Nebraska. What they win a couple championships, 70s and 80s, and everybody thinks they walk on. Notre Dame, that's another great one. They all fit in that little niche category where they
I would
came in
say,
like
I'm
30
going to say
years.
that I think that teams like Notre Dame, Penn State, and Nebraska shouldn't be in the same category as
Like
Miami.
Ohio State,
Miami's
Alabama.
garbage, hot garbage now. Like you can still like Notre
I don't
Dame.
know. Miami's not as bad as you make it out of me. They're better than Nebraska. They were better than Penn State last year. They were better than no, they weren't better than Notre Dame, but they were better than Nebraska and Penn State last year. I'm just saying.
Yes.
I'm just saying
But,
you're giving a lot of slack to Miami. Kind of like I gave to Nebraska. I'd say it's probably about the same there.
the only reason I give a lot of slack to Miami is because every time they had a tough game last year, they got slaughtered. They lost. They got creamed by Oklahoma State. They got creamed by North Carolina. They got creamed by Clemson. That was all. That's all they played. They got creamed every game. If they had an easy game, it was tight. They won, but it was tight.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm just saying. I mean, I think we're all in agreement that these teams are not great.
I think it'll be different. I think it'll be different. We'll see what happens with Miami.
And
Like you, baby, it's all
I
about
think Miami would be better this year than they were last year. If Eric King comes back.
Yeah, if he can. Ugh.
Yeah, if he's still injured.
But
and
anyway,
it's Alabama. So
anyway, so I want to move on.
Yes.
That ends the spring game, and like
we got into a hole there.
weird little debate we just had on Nebraska. But I want to move on since, like I said, it's a little slower this week. Not a lot of college ball to talk. I've kind of come up with some storylines for about maybe a preview of Arkansas spring game. I'm probably the only. I was just thinking about this. I'm the only person who cares about this stuff because I'm the whole Arkansas guy here. So, I mean, my grandpa probably loves it, but me and my grandpa really relishing this Arkansas news. Oh, I have gotten the persona when it comes to Arkansas. You can be wrong. You can tell me this is wrong or right. I'm the only Arkansas fan you probably know, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
So when any of my friends see the Hogs on TV, whatever, or they play one of their teams play Arkansas or something like that, they think of me because I'm the guy. I'm the face of majority of the people who watch this podcast, listen to this podcast. I am the face of the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Sure.
I don't get any credit for it. I wear the gear. I drink from the cup. You know what I mean? So when you see Arkansas, you think me. Instead of just some random team, like if you saw like Colorado on the screen, you'd be like, whatever. But now you see the Hogs, you think Trenton, baby. I'm invested in that scene.
I'll give you that. I would never normal. I mean,
I think of Oklahoma. I think of you. I don't think of anybody else.
I used to think of. I actually used to root a little bit for Arkansas back in the day when Ryan Mallett was around, and I was still just kind of.
Oh yeah, this is a Ryan Mallett jersey. Yeah. Oh yeah.
They were a good team back then, so like, I liked Ryan Mallett. I thought he was a good quarterback, but yeah, after that, I just kind of like.
Oh whatever. Now that you know me, you're back on the train right
now. I'll watch Arkansas.
The Arkansas train. But
for a while.
So we're gonna dive. So anyway, we're gonna dive deep into the Arkansas. Not deep, but we're gonna talk a little bit about it. Just have a quick discussion about it and everything going on. So, ESPN, FBI rated Arkansas the hardest schedule in the country for like the second year in a row, maybe third. I don't really know. So I wanted to look over the schedule right quick and get your opinion on if you actually think it's really that difficult. And it might be. I think it's pretty difficult when I look at it. So give me your opinion. What do you think? You think Rice at home, Texas at home? We'll go like I'll do like a 3-game thing. We can discuss 3 games. Look at 3 more. Rice, Texas, Georgia Southern. What do you think the record is? 2-1. That's what my guess would be.
Um,
I don't know. A lot of people saying we might beat Texas, so it's hard to say.
I think Arkansas. It depended on quarterback. I don't really know a whole lot about what's
Casey
going on in
Jefferson's good.
Arkansas's quarterback battle, or even who they are really.
There's no battle. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think 2-1 is very realistic. I think 3-0 is very realistic. Texas, I mean, Texas has always hired great coaches. Mac Brown, Charlie Strong, Tom Herman. They've all been wonderful coaches who have won national championships. And it's just the same with Sarkisian. I mean, I think he's a great coach, but is he any different than what we saw from Tom Herman? I don't think so. So I think you have a good. I think it's kind of. I
Just
think
after one
Sarkisian.
year, though. But it's hard to say because Tom Herman had a pretty little decent team. They weren't terrible.
Yeah, they weren't
Not like
terrible.
they're completely collapsed. It's probably the opposite.
But like one of the things about Arkansas is like last year they rose above the expectations and they had a very, I mean, I would say good season. It was a decent season on normal
Better
standards.
than what we had the past like 5 years.
Exactly. The defense played amazing. The offense had some moments, but yeah. And so I think it'd be really cool to see how Arkansas progresses into the second year under Sam Pittman, and hopefully the defense can stay on that high level they had last year. They were an interception machine. That was awesome to see, and it'll be crucial for that offense to take that next step for Arkansas. I think if they can do that, I think they can beat Texas.
Yeah, if you look at like we had like multiple as we're gonna talk about. I haven't really I do a more offensive discussion here,
Yeah.
but more like so I talk about running backs, quarterbacks. We'll talk about offensive line. That's the 3 we're gonna talk about today.
Yeah.
But if you kind of look at it, our defense returns all of its starters, other than
Mm,
like 2.
big,
And
big.
one of our linebackers, his name's Grant Morgan, was one of our best players last year. He's coming back. Our bumper pool, Jalen Catalon, all like amazing players. I think Jalen Catalon led the country in tackles or something like that. Some insane number. Like he was like number 1 or 2 in tackles for like rookies or something, or freshman rookies. But well, I think I could see 2-1. I'll give us the benefit of it. I'll be a little bit more harsh and say 2-1. Maybe we lose to Texas. It is at home though, so who knows? But then we got Texas A&M at Jerry World. I'm a little nervous about this stretch, right? Georgia and Ole Miss. What do you think? 0-3 or 1 and
Uh,
2?
I
I say 1 and 2.
I think 1-2. I think you lose to Texas A&M. I think you lose to Georgia. I think you have a shot against Ole Miss.
I think I disagree. I think we lose to Georgia, Ole Miss, and somehow squeak one out versus A&M.
Really?
They lost a quarterback. Maybe they'll be kind of not that great. I don't know.
Texas A&M is loaded at quarterback.
Look, man, I can like dream, right? And
I'm
yeah,
saying,
Texas A&M, yeah, I agree. It'd be tough, but it is in Jerry World, Jerry World. So we'll see what happens. But maybe, yeah, I think they go 1 and 2. So what does that make us? So I have them at 1 and 2. That means 3, 4 and 3 right now. 4 and 3. Okay, let's keep moving. We got Auburn, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and Mississippi State. 3-0.
you think so?
I think we beat. I think Auburn. We've always struggled with Auburn, and now that one guy's gone, Gus Malzahn. See, the thing about Auburn, a lot of people don't understand, is Gus Malzahn hates Arkansas, hates us. So when Auburn played us, they always hated us. Now, who cares? They don't hate us anymore. So I think that can make Arkansas, especially with those 3 games being at home, maybe
I say 2-1.
that would put us.
I
So
don't necessarily think that you would lose to Auburn. I think there's also an opportunity to lose to Mississippi State. I think one of those 2 games,
I doubt it.
Arkansas will miss.
One of those 2 games. I think we definitely beat. Fun fact: this is like the first time Arkansas football team has ever played anybody from Arkansas, like
Oh yeah,
like 80 years. So it's been a very long time. Important punt. This little fact for you.
Yeah.
Um, this next little stretch. What do you think? Think we got a shot against LSU or Alabama?
Boy, that's a tough stretch. They're both LSU, Alabama on the road, and then Mizzou at home.
I think we'll beat. So we've lost Missouri like 4 years in a row. I think they're going to be so upset after last year's weird game that they're going to be like they're going to pull. I think we go 1-2 again.
I'm inclined to agree. I think it really just depends on you lose Alabama. There's no doubt. I mean, I hate to say it, but you're gonna lose Alabama.
No, I mean, yeah.
LSU. I just don't know how good LSU's gonna be. Like if it's like last year, I think you have more of a shot.
We almost beat them last year.
Exactly.
Missed a field goal at the end of the game, but or something
I
like that.
just don't know how good LSU's gonna be. There's a toss up. But I'll say one.
It's kind of on how Miles Brennan or the other guy, whoever, whatever. We'll see. That's going to be late in the season, so could be anything by then. Missouri, I think we beat Missouri. I think there's enough hate built up there that some people are just going to be mad, and there's going to be a lot of players leaving this year too. So it's going to be like one of those statement years. We've got to beat these teams.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm thinking like 7-5, maybe.
I think that's a very reasonable. I'd say 7-5, maybe 6-6.
6-6. I love that.
Yeah.
We're supposed to go to bowl game this year, only with 3 wins. But Iowa got COVID. Shout out to COVID, I guess, but disappointing. But whatever. That was supposed to be Arkansas's first bowl game since like 2016 or something like that, or 2015. Crazy. Anyway, so that kind of ends the discussion of the hardest schedule in the world. I don't think it's that hard. I mean, Georgia. The only reason it's in there because of Georgia and Texas. Like you get rid of. I guess if you get rid of Texas, place them with some crappy team, and then you play Vanderbilt or Kentucky or South Carolina, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. The fact that we play Georgia and Texas kind of screws us a little bit. I think.
Yeah, Georgia, Texas, and Alabama, which is the big, and maybe even Texas A&M, depending on how good they are.
A lot of ifs about this SEC season, isn't there? It's not as clear cut as what I thought it was going to be.
Like,
you don't really know how good A&M's going to be.
All the starting quarterbacks from last year are gone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There was a ton of them. There was Georgia's like the only one returning a quarterback.
Yeah, and he didn't start.
I guess. I don't know anything about Missouri. I couldn't tell you a thing about Missouri. Don't care about them either. Never going to cover them. If we get reporters from Missouri, you can suck it. I'm not ever going to report on Missouri. They can suck my. Never mind. This is nope. Anyway, I didn't say discussion on Arkansas's football schedule. I hate Missouri. I hate Missouri and Nebraska. They can both die in a ditch somewhere. I hate them. Anyway, so Arkansas has been looking pretty good this spring. So I wanted to talk about the running backs real quick. We'll just do a quick conversation on the running backs. Treylon Smith coming back. I think I wrote on these notes where he had 869 all-purpose yards, being second running back on the team behind Rakeem Boyd. After Rakeem Boyd opted out to go to the NFL, he kind of took over, had a bunch of great games. His name's Treylon Smith. He's number 22 running back. And last year, fun fact, we only had 3 running backs. This year we have 9. So our depth chart has increased huge. I write down at the bottom, so Treylon Smith will be the number 1 running back. Okay. TJ Hammond's number 2, been there for 100 years. There's a lot of guys on Arkansas's team that are like 60 years, 6, because of the COVID rules, they got to come back. So it feels like a half of them been there for 1,000 years. TJ Hammond has been there since Brett Bielema was there, and that was over 4 years, like almost 3.5 years ago at this point. There were 4 this coming fall, so it's been a hot minute. I think he was a sophomore when he was there too, so that tells you anything. So he's been there for a hot minute, but he's pretty good. He's okay. And then incoming freshman AJ Green and Javion Hunt battling out for the 3rd running back position. Javion Hunt is 240 pounds. It's a beast of yeah.
Big running back.
Yeah, huge. I would hate to get hit by him, especially if he was fast. Like if he's kind of a bigger 240, but But if he's like an athletic 240, that would be the scariest thing in the world. I'd be so afraid of an
He
athletic,
looks like a Derrick Henry.
yeah, like a 240-pound, strong, muscular man coming for you. God, that'd be one of the most terrifying things to hit in football. I've tackled a couple, like when I played high school football. I mean, most of the running backs we played against weren't too big, but there was one guy. He was kind of like that size. He was a little bigger. He was probably about not bigger. He was about 220. He had muscles, and like that guy was one tough sucker to punch, man. I mean, to tackle it's tough. But AJ Green more of a speedster. So I'd say Traylon Smith really going to carry the load. But one thing about this Arkansas team that I really want to like point out is the amount of depth that we're adding to the team. I think it's really important to note. I think it's really awesome for our team. I think it's what the biggest thing about us competing in the SEC is that we lack strong depth. And like we need that. So when the fourth quarter rolls around, our starters aren't in there just being gassed. So you could take people out, you could substitute, make substitutions. That's how Alabama and them are able to be so good. It's because they have such great depth all around, especially on the defensive side of the ball where it's really required. And especially it's not required on the offensive side of the ball, not as much on the defensive law. You got to have a lot of defensive linemen, defensive ends, linebackers, cornerbacks, those guys running around constantly. So having that depth there would really be helpful. And that's what Arkansas has been lacking. So it's good to see some positive movement towards some good depth on the Arkansas Razorback roster.
Yeah.
Any comment on any of that?
No. All this is news to me as well, so I'm glad you're sharing it with me. I get to learn more about Arkansas as I get to watch
Yeah,
them.
usually it's Ryan informing all of us. I will say I'm the one who did the homework this time, so I'm the one that gets to spout off all the notes and
Exactly.
stuff like that. All right, moving moving on to KJ Jefferson, quarterback battle, non-existent. It's his team.
Really?
I watched several interviews with the offensive line and coaches. KJ Jefferson has taken the quarterback battle, as one would say, and has really taken over and really like asserted himself as a leader on the team. I watched an interview he gave with after our practice, and I was impressed with his attitude. The way he answered questions would seem very mature. He made a statement at one point that he said that he's proud of the fact that when adversity came and like he had a transfer in front of him and the Chad Morris wouldn't start him all those years ago, and all those things happened to him, that he was proud to have stayed the course, waited his time, understood what was going on, paid attention to what he was dealing with and how he was dealing with everything. And I think in our age nowadays, especially in college basketball and college football, there's a lot of transferring, right? I want to start now. I want to do this now. Where, well, he didn't do that. KJ Jefferson stayed the course, and now for the next 2 years, it's his team. I believe he might be a sophomore. So, yeah, 3 more years, he gets to be the helm of the Arkansas Razorbacks, especially with someone as talented. He had 4-star talent out of Mississippi. I think it's important for him. He's going to get probably 3 years, probably three, unless he just breaks out, have like some stellar like year this year and next year. I doubt it though. But he's going to have time to mature, grow to be a great talent, and probably if he stays as good as he was in the Missouri game, I would recommend all of you go watch the Arkansas versus Missouri if you were interested in how good he is, because he can be really, really great. Like, he can run the ball a little bit. He's pretty fast, tough runner, kind of like Cam Newton. But man, he sling it. Like a lot of times, like a lot of running quarterbacks can't really throw that well. But this is the opposite for him. He's more of a thrower who can do some tough running if needed. So that's pretty exciting.
Would you say he kind of reminds you of maybe a taller, slightly bigger Taj Boyd?
I could see that. I think
Have a good arm, can run, big guy.
Taj Boyd, I always saw Taj Boyd. I guess you could say that. It's been a couple of years. I had to go back and watch Taj Boyd again. It's been a long time. But I think Taj Boyd would be an accurate comparison. I think Taj Boyd I think he's bigger. He's bigger. Like you said, he's definitely bigger than Taj Boyd. Taj Boyd was a little not. He was Taj. See, Taj Boyd was bigger than Deshaun Watson, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But KJ
Buffalo was
Jefferson,
like 220, I think, maybe 230, and
yeah,
then KJ is like 240.
yeah. So KJ's kind of bigger. The comparison that everybody throws around for him is like Dak Prescott and Cam Newton are the two comparisons. Especially Cam Newton body wise. I don't know about throwing ability. I personally think KJ can throw a little better than Cam Newton did in college. Now Cam Newton had some pretty decent little throws when he was at Auburn, that 1 year. But
He
I think
was phenomenal that year.
yeah. So I mean, but I think KJ Jefferson I think he could be better than Cam Newton, honestly, especially with the amount of time and patience. I mean, he have as great of a season? Probably not. But if you take the time, you've got the good people around him to develop him, it's possible.
Yeah.
I don't say he's gonna have that good of a season, Don't look at me like I'm a crazy person, but that's kind of my assessment of I'm a little biased, rose-colored glasses and all that. So that's
I mean,
really good.
I'd love to see it. I mean, I'm cool.
He's actually good. KJ Jefferson's going to be like triple times what Tim Tebow. If you combine Tim Tebow, Tim Tebow, Joe Burrow, and Cam Newton, if you combine them all into one person, that is KJ Jefferson.
Well, I can't wait to see him win 3 Heismans and 3 national championships.
Yeah, he's going to win 3 Heismans in a row. Everybody's going to be like, oh my God, this guy's an idiot. Why did he stay for his senior year? He should have went to the NFL immediately.
Yeah.
If he wins the Heisman this year, he's probably going, Lord, I don't even bring those kind of nasty thoughts in my head. Even though that would be, I don't know how I feel about that. That'd be shocking. Anyway, pretty excited. I'm pretty excited about that. Arkansas offensive line brings back 5 starters. How can that not be great?
That's awesome.
Ty Clary, Myron Cunningham going to be the leader on that group. I'm pretty excited about them. I think we talked about it at the very beginning of the first episodes of the show. But this guy named Tyquise Crawford, originally committed to Arkansas, but went to Charlotte 49ers. Crazy move by him. But he transferred to Arkansas, so he's going to be a staple as well on that offensive line. So I'm pretty excited about that. That gives us some good depth, some good mobility. I think like I was just preaching, depth has been a problem with Arkansas. It's why we had a hard time competing in the SEC. So bringing back those guys, it's going to be good for the Hogs. It's going to be good for our offensive line, good for KJ, good for everybody. Arkansas baseball. Run through this real fast. We're coming near the end of the episode. Not a terribly long episode, but I do wanted to cover just a little college baseball since it's been kind of blowing up on Twitter recently. So I wanted to discuss it. Arkansas baseball rubber match against Ole Miss. I didn't get to watch any of the games this week, so when I was watching the highlights, I was kind of, I was very interested in seeing what's going on. Arkansas was ranked number 2. Ole Miss was number 3, and Arkansas won the series 2-1. So Arkansas is ranked number 1 now.
Yeah, back at it.
So Arkansas led 11-0 in the top of the third.
11-0.
11-0.
Pretty good.
And the Ole Miss came back and tied at 14-14, I believe, in the bottom of the 6th.
Definitely a tale of two halves, if you could say that in baseball.
Arkansas takes the lead 17-14 in the top of the 8th and then won the game. Some people are calling it the best baseball game of the season so far. I mean, if you have a football score like that, I would say a pretty good baseball game. If you're seeing just a bunch of dingers, seeing tons of people just slam home runs, that's pretty good to see.
I mean,
I looked up right before we started recording today's podcast. I looked on Twitter, and Arkansas is leading right now. They were beating the team they're playing 26-1. Multiple players with 2 home runs apiece. Multiple. 26-1.
That's just ridiculous.
They're a pretty good baseball team, I'd say. So we'll definitely be talking about them because they're good.
That Oklahoma's better.
We'll talk about Oklahoma baseball. I have a stat about them at the end.
Yeah, we shouldn't say that, actually.
So Arkansas is ranked number 1. Pretty excited about that. I would recommend, if you like college baseball, to go watch those highlights. Freaking fantastic game. Fantastic. Clemson baseball, Going to transition a little bit out of Arkansas into Clemson. Clemson baseball lost to the College of Charleston Cougars again, 2 years in a row. College of Charleston beat them 13-6.
That's
Most
just
of you know I'm a Clemson guy, but I do go to College of Charleston, and we beat them. How about that, huh?
there we go. I mean, Clemson's just had such a weird season.
Yeah.
Like they'll get some good wins, and then
Then they'll just like play a game like that. Tigers dropped to 15-14. Cougars are 13-14. I didn't say we were good people. I just said we beat Clemson.
Yep.
So it's the only time I ever pull for Clemson to lose because I don't ever have anybody ever play them. So I think it was interesting to see that College of Charleston went up there and whooped them 2 years in a row, Ryan. We beat them like 11-0 last year, right before the season got canceled due to COVID. And then this year we beat them again. They just can't stop us, dude. We're so good. College of Charleston, best baseball team in the state, other than South Carolina.
What
So,
about Chanticleers?
I have no idea what their record is. Couldn't tell you.
I mean, they won that championship.
I mean, that was like what, 4 years ago?
Look it up. I mean, still, it's better than any, like, besides Carolina, obviously. Carolina's won a couple. Yeah, Chanticleers are 15-1. Or sorry, 15. Sorry, 15-11.
Good Lord. I was like, first of all, they only played like half the games Arkansas's played. And then
they haven't really played anyone. They did beat College Charleston 8-7. Yeah, they haven't played anybody. They
have
played
some
West
high scoring
Virginia.
games here.
What was that?
So they got some high scoring games here.
Yeah, they beat West Virginia. They won their series against West Virginia, I should say, 2-1.
Nice.
They really haven't played anyone. Jeez. They beat Wake Forest. There you go. And they lost the series to Duke, but they did win one game.
Nice.
So they also won a game against UConn. And yeah, they beat College Charleston. I mean, not a lot.
Woo! I still think so. I guess South Carolina is the best baseball team.
What is there? Well, I guess we're getting to that. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, so South Carolina beat Charleston Southern 9-0.
Would you say that Charleston Southern is the worst baseball team in South Carolina?
Don't know the record, but I bet on it. I'm not a betting man. It might be Presbyterian though. Who knows? Maybe Newberry.
I mean, there's way too many teams to keep track of. But
Newberry.
yeah.
What about the Camel one? There's a Camel University somewhere.
Campbell's or whatever.
Yeah. Campbell's. They might stink.
The CSU's 10-14.
Look up Presbyterian real fast, and I'll keep rattling off. But so South Carolina improved to 22-9, 8 for the SEC. I have the rankings right here of college baseball. Arkansas is number 1. Number 2 is Vanderbilt. Ole Miss fell to number 6 this past weekend after losing to Arkansas. Not great. Trying to look. Old Dominion's 22. Charlotte's number 21. Trying to look for Oklahoma State's 13th. How about that? Little rivalry. TCU's 12th. South Carolina's 11th. Texas Tech is 8th. Not a great showing from Texas's 3rd. Wow. Oklahoma really needs to step up their game. Big 12 seems to care about baseball except for Oklahoma.
They're doing okay. I mean, Oklahoma's
18-15, Ryan.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not great.
Yeah, but so anyway, so that kind of ends the baseball discussion. That just kind of wraps that up. I probably won't talk about. I don't think people care about college baseball, but I do think it's important to talk about, especially since Arkansas is number one. So as long as they're number 1 or at least ranked in the top 5, I will be mentioning it. So you will have to suffer through while I talk. I won't put it in the description though, so I might so you won't know going in. So it'd just be like an extra section you have to listen to. So now we're getting to a new section I like to I labeled random stuff. Are you
Oh,
ready for the random stuff section?
I'm interested.
So this
Let's.
is all could be anything, but it's dealing with a majority of college sports, some local, some not. I just saw some stuff today. This is kind of what happened today and breaking news kind of today. So it kind of has big impact. So Browns are giving tight end Jadavion Clowney, tight end, Titans defensive end Jadavion Clowney a 1-year deal worth $10 million. Is this your first nugget? You said about losing Jadavion Clowney?
It stinks. For those of you who don't know, I'm a Titans fan. It's unfortunate that we lost Clowney. I'm kind of curious why he's only doing 1-year deals. Yeah, 1-year deal with the
Well,
Titans, doing one with the Browns. Like he's a good player.
the Titans not wanting back
I don't think he wanted to come back. I think Tennessee was just kind of like
like a stopping point or something like
just a
that.
stop. They were going to pay him a lot of money, and I mean they were never going to win a title in Tennessee or anything like that. It was just a stop
You
for
don't
him.
know that. They might win one. I don't seem very confident. All right, next piece of news. Eric Musselman signs a 5-year, $20 million deal to stay with Arkansas. Um, this was hammered out during the SEC tournament, but it is rumored. We knew he was going to get a nice deal, but it was rumored that he gets a ton of incentives too. You can go look it up. I posted it today on our Instagram, but so go look it up on our Instagrams. It'll be gone by then, but if you want to go look it up, it'll be under the highlight section. So I'll have the tweet there so you can go look it up. But no, I posted a post about it. Never mind. But it'll be there on Instagram. So if you want to see the actual stuff, but he gets a lot of incentives. Makes like he can make 5 million, but he can make like 7 or something a year if he makes it like to the like Final Four or something like every year, something crazy. So he gets incentives like hundreds of thousands of dollars if he makes it to each branch of the NCAA tournament. So it kind of gives him some incentive to get the team together. But he's good, so I'm excited about that. Arizona hired Gonzaga coach in waiting Tommy Lloyd. So people were saying that it was Mark Few's, guy in this like in waiting for Mark Few to retire or whatever. I don't know how old Mark Few is, but
Oh, he's old.
a lot of people were saying that Tommy Lloyd is a huge reason for Gonzaga's recruiting and one of the reasons they're getting in so many big recruits right now. So Arizona could definitely use that. I think Arizona, I wouldn't call them a blue blood, but they've been kind of respected more recently. So I would say that there's definitely a foundation for good basketball to be played there. So I'm excited to see what could happen with that. Oklahoma baseball looking good with a solid 18 and 15 record. So I thought I'd throw that in there since we kind of do cover the 3 sports. I've covered South Carolina, Arkansas, Clemson, now Oklahoma. We cover all our bases. Justin Fields' pro day was today.
Oh yeah, how'd that go?
It looked good. His short throws were very tight. I mean, they threw in some pretty solid spaces, but overall, some of his longer throws seemed to be a little more inaccurate. But it's hard to say. I would say, I say overall he looked really good. I
Yeah.
would say. It's hard to look bad at a spring game. The only, like I said, my only complaint would be that some of his long balls were a little inaccurate. Some of the receivers, instead of going the direct route, had to make adjustments to slide over. So, but other than that, I thought his short spirals were really good. I thought they were really tight and they were really pretty solid stuff.
It's good. Good.
And right before the podcast broke, I noticed this 10 minutes before we started recording. Cincinnati hired UNC Greensboro coach Wes Miller. UNC Greensboro made the tournament. 185, 135 record in 10 seasons at UNC Greensboro. Kind of a risky hire, but I could see some serious benefit coming out of it. I think it'll be good for Cincinnati, kind of known as a kind of a basketball okay team. But,
It's kind of they're in a weird conference. Like the American Conference is like they throw out a good football, at least one, sometimes two, good football teams a year. Obviously,
You know,
Cincinnati,
I couldn't tell you one team who it's from. Oh, Houston.
Houston.
Houston. Yeah, Houston was the American Conference team this year.
And UConn left the American Conference to go to the Big East again. I don't know. I don't. It's a. I think it's a good hire.
I think so too.
You know,
I think Mick Cronin, he was at Cincinnati before he went to UCLA. So he kind of built them up to be a big program. I don't know if they actually are. We'll see. Kind of find out what happens there. But that kind of ends the random stuff set category. So, is there anything else, Ryan? Anything else you want to talk about?
I think one more thing I'll throw into the random stuff category is something I posted on the Instagram page. But Rutgers recruiting is up to number 7 in the country, above Alabama and Clemson for the 2022 class. I just find it the weirdest thing that Rutgers, of all teams in the entire country, is number 7. Obviously, that's going to change.
I actually have that pulled up.
Alabama and Clemson will be recruiting some better players in the near future, but
Four stars.
yeah, it makes
Six,
no sense that
six in the country.
Rutgers is doing that. I don't get it. It makes no sense. Like I don't. There's nothing really special up there.
They did a
I know.
Shiano man. Sing us a song tonight. Greg Shiano, huh?
I mean, I guess so. Maybe Rutgers is the next Big Ten team. Who knows? I guess we'll find out. But yeah, just wanted to throw that weird little snippet of data out there.
Arkansas is ranked 15th.
Yeah, not bad.
Pretty good for the Hogs. Where's Oklahoma at?
They're like in the top 5 or something.
No, they're not. They're top 8.
Oh,
They're number 8. They're in front of Texas,
Ayo.
which
Texas should be up there too, like top 10. Top
Texas
12.
is number 9.
Yeah.
You're the highest ranked Big 12 team, as far as I can tell.
Cool.
That's not a shocker though. Oklahoma State's behind Texas at 16th.
It's actually pretty high for Oklahoma State.
I don't even see anybody close after that. West Virginia is the next closest at 35. Boston College is at 11. 10 3-stars. That's ridiculous. All right. Anyway, that kind of wraps up the episode. We don't need to get off on another tangent. So I just want to thank everybody for watching this episode. Thanks for listening to us talk about Arkansas. Like I said, a little slower this week. We'll have tons of stuff coming out next week about these spring games. We have tons of content coming to you. We're going to have Oklahoma spring game, Ohio State, Michigan. Well, Michigan already had theirs. Not going to have Michigan. Georgia, Alabama, LSU, yada, yada, yada. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, keep following this page. Keep liking. Keep subscribing. Keep doing your thing. I really appreciate it. Ryan really appreciates it. Like I said, if you're listening to this podcast somewhere that isn't South Carolina, let me know. Follow me on Instagram, DM me, be like, hey, what's up, bro? And I'd love to talk with you, love to see what you're about. If you got a team that you want us to cover, let me know. We start covering it. Anything for our supporters, people who like us and stuff like that. So I really do appreciate it. Ryan, any last words?
Welcome to the channel. And yeah, if we don't know who you are, reach out to us. Love to talk to you.
Yeah, so I'm excited for next week. I'm gonna have a ton of episodes coming your way. Look for 3 YouTube episodes. I know we kind of scaled back, but like I said, news was real slow this week. So we're gonna have tons of episodes coming to you next week. I'll probably have an independent one, and then we'll have a couple with Ryan. So just keep looking out for that. Tons of content coming your way. All right, y'all. Bye.
Bye.